I know you better than anybody on this planet. I've been there for you when others wouldn't even say space. If you come back with me, you'll never have to want for anything, just like we always did. But no matter what you choose, I'll always have your back.
Listen, these are an overpaid necessity, really. If you want to get yourself something more efficient, actually get the job done, I would recommend something like a clip-on. Get yourself something that steers right there. These things, they wouldn't shave the hairs off of a fly's asshole.
You have been acting weird all day, and that is saying a lot. Look, if there's something bothering you, you've got to tell me about it. Otherwise, I can't do anything about it. Just tell me what's been going on with you today. No lies, no funny tricks, just the truth.
Your life's not real, my friend. It stopped being real after you left. Very soon after you left. And now you got no choice but to live in this ghost.
The word of the day is disappointment. Specifically, coming from the word disappoint, which means to fail to satisfy the hopes of expectations of disappointment, noun. In order to be disappointed, one must first have expectations in place in order for a disappointment to happen. Disappointment can come from a myriad of places. Maybe you didn't get the part in the show that you wanted, or maybe your favorite show has gotten canceled, or maybe you expected a stimulus check to come in 2 weeks earlier, but it didn't, and now you only have $600 in your bank account. A lot of these things can happen, and they always end up in disappointment. Whether you like it or not, disappointment is inevitable. It is one of those immovable parts of life that everybody has to go through. It's a thing that, much like nature, may always change in context, situation, shape, or form, but it always happens nevertheless. Maybe the situation around the disappointment is different, or maybe the circumstances at which you are disappointed or the levels of disappointment that you have are much, much different than other levels of disappointment. But nevertheless, once in every person's life, we all suffer the immediate embarrassment and horrible musings of being disappointment. There is a chickadee off screen now, and that's that's really cool. I bless the chickadee. I hope he has a good day. But why am I talking to you about disappointment? Well, if you are watching this, it is either the 1st of April or possibly later, depending on whether or not you decide to click on this video. Maybe you had a certain expectation that was failed to be met. And for that I have to apologize because, well, I can't always meet your expectations. Or if you expected an expectation to be met after a series of expectations not being met and you counted on me to be the one that manifested some kind of retribution for you, then I apologize for not being the one to give you that sort of satisfaction. Because, in point of fact, I'm actually here to act as a sort of mediation or educator of sorts. I'm here to give you musings on my perspective of how to avoid disappointment, or more importantly, how to better oneself and ultimately find infinite enlightenment after a lifetime of being disappointed. And it's all found right here in this book that I have written. And it's not a novel or anything. This isn't like a self-help book or anything. This is a book that I've just written. It's a journal I've written into that I've decided fully encapsulates the manyest, which is like various and many put together. It's a portmanteau that I just came up with now. Not because I beefed the line or anything. It's okay, maybe I did. But these are all of the revelations I've had, or epiphanies I've had, that have led me to this point where I can now say that I am fully enlightened because I no longer suffer a life where disappointment is inevitable. I, in fact, have overcome disappointments. Through a series of different disappointments, I have now found the ultimate nirvana, which is to live life free of disappointment. I'm starting to get a horrible headache from squinting so much. I really don't know how to fix that. But whatever. That's another reason why I might be disappointed, because I might get a headache out of making this stupid little video. But I'm not disappointed. I'm actually happy I'm here. If I have something more to be disappointed at, it's the fact that this sun is blaring on the back of my neck and I might get a sunburn before it's even summer, but whatever. And I think a leaf has just fallen into my book, I can't tell. So, in order to understand how to overcome disappointment, we must first understand why we get disappointed. Well, I think I made it pretty obvious in the intro, but if not, or maybe you weren't paying attention because you went to look at David Dobrik's vlogs some more, well, let me just give you a recap real quick. Disappointment is a noun, means failure to meet expectations. Now, expectations come in a plethora of forms. Maybe, you expected to win the gold medal at an Olympic game, or maybe you expected to, consummate your marriage, but then your wife turns out to be married to somebody else, and she's also an alien. Not like in a, immigration sense. I mean, she's actually from Mars. Well, point is, we all get disappointed at one point or another, and it happens a lot. Dare I say, it happens from the minute we're born to the second we die. Disappointment is just inevitable. Well, let me inform you that it doesn't actually have to be this way. Even though you live in a life where you may have experienced numerous disappointments, say for example, your latest being, June Summers didn't want to go out with you to the spring fling. Well, if that did happen to you, I don't know why it did, because, well, I don't think any public schools are having any sock hops or coteries because of circumstances being what they are. I'm of course referring to the COVID 2021 epidemic. That little thing that happened 5 years ago. Nevertheless, if you are somebody who has recently suffered a disappointment, or maybe numerous disappointments, or feel as if you yourself are a disappointment, first of all, that's impossible. You yourself can't be a disappointment. That would make you a synecdoche, and a synecdoche cancels out any other ism to your name that there is. If you call yourself a synecdoche, in spite of the fact that you're also a pilgrim, a Methodist, or a practicer of voodoo, you are no longer any of those things. You are only a synecdoche. You are what you are, and you are a synecdoche. Other people pronounce it synecdoche, but I pronounce it synecdoche. But yes. So, my point is, if you're somebody who's recently suffered from disappointments, then this will be the last video you'll ever need to watch, because I'm about to convert you to a sort of Jehovah's Witness style religion. Oh, sorry, I mean business. That's what this is. You see, I've just invented something called the business of self-inward looking. And it's a little, I'm still workshopping that title, but essentially what that means is, what it means to be self-inward looking is that in an instant where you find yourself being disappointed, with the tools you have in place based on these epiphanies that I've had, you too will be able to experience a life free of disappointment. And it all has to do with looking inside yourself and saying, I'm not going to be disappointed. And then you're not. It's incredible pseudoscience. I mean, yeah, pseudoscience is what I meant. Now, the interesting thing about self-inward looking, this business that I've just invented off the top of my head, that sun is really going to be the death of me. I'm going to put on a jacket because I have time to put on a jacket. Now, the important thing to understand about self-inward looking is that it doesn't just start right away, much like our reliable antidepressants or antipsychotics. It's not a cure-all. Self-inward looking is a tool that you can use that can allow you to become a more satisfied or content person. It's not a cure-all. You can't just say, I'm self-inward. Bless me. You can't just say, I'm self-inward looking and I'm therefore free of disappointments. Again, saying something like that only makes you a synecdoche, and you are not a synecdoche, you are a person. We've been over this. You're going to want to keep notes while watching this video. There's going to be a quiz at the end. Now, to understand self-inward looking, we must first flip through page 55, verse 79 of this Epiphany book I've written. And it says here, the arrangement and connection of parts circus as in a radio. Oh, sorry, that's just a definition for hookworm. My bad. Okay, here we go. June 14th, 1922. That's when I wrote in this journal first. I'm actually more than 90 years old. You probably can't tell because I use exfoliation. In order to first understand how not to be disappointed and utilize self-inward looking and, oh, I lost my space. To utilize self-inward looking as a part of your everyday life, you must first ask yourself this question. What do I want out of my entire life? So, I want you to take one look at me for a second. Actually, take a look at me and say, what do I want for myself in this life? Now, based off of your answer that you've just given, I'm going to assume it was something materialistic. Now, materialistic things only exist in a vacuum that we call society, and society can be a myriad of different things, like, the Society of North Sentinel Island, which is a private island that does not allow for visitors to come over for fear of them being horribly destroyed by bow and arrows. Take, for example, the one missionary that thought, I'm going to convert these people who clearly just want to be left alone, and then died after not getting the hint on 2 other occasions. Nevertheless, if you want for something materialistic, rest assured you are not too far gone. Being materialistic in a thing called society, which may or may not even exist, is actually a good thing. Without materials, you have no house. Without materials, you have no clothing. Without materials, you have nothing to sleep on. In effect, without materials, you have no concrete matter. You don't have dirt to walk on. You don't have doors to open with your hands. And you don't have air to breathe. You don't even have a sky above your head. You just have nothingness. And with nothingness, there is disappointment. Because in lieu of nothingness, everybody wants everything, or at least anything or something. Hence disappointment, because if you have nothing, that's really disappointing. But with materials, there's a chance that we won't be disappointed, and more often than not, with the material things that we get, we are often not disappointed. We find use for them. Now, John Piemontesino actually had a very interesting quote that I wrote down somewhere in here. Maybe it's in this centerfold. Nope, not there. Yeah, okay. So this is John Piemontesino, who famously said during the Falklands invasion in the 1980s, For want of nothing means to have some of want of anything. Now, that's a very interesting quote that I'm not going to repeat because I'm already not going to know how to repeat it. Essentially, what he is getting at is everybody has to want something, because if we don't want anything, how do we expect to have a life to live? Because if you don't want to do anything with your life, then that means you might as well not have a life. Now, this is completely normal revelations to have. Take it from Piemontesino, who was committed for arson just 2 years after saying this quote. Now, what is the point of Piemontesino? What is the point of wanting material things? Well, self-inward looking is all about accepting the life that you have, but also expecting more out of it. Because the cure for being less disappointed is not to expect more or expect less. It is to expect more. Just a reminder. Self-inward looking is about expecting more, not expecting less. Now, people seem to assume that expecting more leads to more disappointment, but that's not true at all. It's a, dare I say, complete lie. To expect more is actually a beneficial thing. According to Ezekiel 5:12, it is said in the Bible that he who has to want has to also naunt. And with naunting, there is always a saunting, because saunting leads to expectations of a plenty in the sheep of Bethlehem. And I'm not going to interpret that because it speaks for itself, but the point is, self-inward looking, the very first step is to become more materialistic. If you see $1 on the street that might have been dropped by an old lady, that's tough. She'll always get another dollar. Everyone always gets another dollar sometimes. Life is all about getting more, taking advantage of that which you see around you and fully utilizing it. Now, you might think it is wrong to take money from somebody, but bear this in mind for a second. If you were to drop a slice of ham from a truck that you're driving that's full of ham, and somebody else seems to pick it up and take it to their family who's been starving for at least 5 years, then who's in the wrong there? Whose loss is that? It's more beneficial for that family to at least have that one slice of ham to eat, and to lose that one slice of ham from a truck full of ham is really no loss at all, because you still have that whole truck full of ham to deliver, and who knows where that truck of ham is going, but odds are you're going to get some of that truck of ham, because obviously you're driving it, you're entitled to some of the ham you're delivering. So whose loss is it? The answer is none. Nobody loses in that scenario. Dare I say, it is a win-win scenario. So the next time you see a lucky penny in the street and you feel bad that somebody out there might want that penny but they can't have it because you have it, well, think of it this way. This is your time to have that penny. Someday soon, somebody else is going to have that penny. And when it's time for them to get that penny, they will have it. These things happen whether you like it or not, much like being disappointed. But that doesn't have to be the case, because disappointment is bad. We've just been over this. I've been talking about this for almost 20 minutes now. Step 2 of self-inward looking. I'm going to flip through this book for the last time because I don't have much else to say that's outside of this book. I'm going to tell you guys a little homily, if you will, a little tale I'm going to spin to you right now, a very relatable tale that may or may not have even happened to me. Even the birds are excited. See, listen to how excited they are. Now, the interesting thing is that in order to fully understand the context of the story, just know for a fact that there were 2 things that were certain that day. I was 5 months late on my tax reforms, and my underwear was on backwards the entire time. Now you know the context, let me tell you the story. I woke up one morning, I woke up 5 minutes past my alarm, and I thought, oh, okay, that sucks, I might as well have some breakfast. But I forgot that it was daylight savings time, so it wasn't 10 a.m. when I woke up, it was actually 11 a.m. And I was already 3 hours late for work, and I thought, oh, that's even worse. I should take a shower. But then I remembered, oh, I didn't pay the heating bill for my water. So now I have to take a cold shower, which I normally like in the middle of scorching hot weathers. But I don't like cold showers if there's no sense of heat. So that was bad. And then I took a walk outside. I had just gotten a phone call from my boss saying that I was fired and that he was also sleeping with my wife, which I had totally forgotten that I was married to somebody because we live on opposite sides of the country. I have a temp job in Los Pimas, which is like Los Dimas, but cooler. It's actually in San Bernardino Valley, if you're interested in checking that place out. And my wife, or ex-wife, worked in New Jersey. Point is, I was having a very bad day. I was walking outside, minding my own business, inhaling the smoke-covered skies of my life in Los Pimas, and I thought, man, if I hadn't just completely lost my head about now, I would say that I'm feeling disappointed. But in that moment, I figured I should feel disappointed, but I'm not. Why don't I feel disappointed in this exact moment? And the answer became crystal clear. The reason I don't feel disappointed is because I have nothing to be disappointed by. You might say, oh, well, you might feel disappointed because you lost some sleep. No, I'm not disappointed at all, because I might have lost sleep that day, but that's not a guarantee that I'll lose sleep for the rest of my life. I slept past my alarm, but there's not a guarantee that that's not going to happen any more times in the future. I might get perfect sleep and also wake up before my alarm, if not on time. But at the same time, it is bad that I not only lost my job, but that my boss was sleeping with my wife. Well, who cares? Maybe I'll find a different wife that actually loves me. Maybe my boss was actually a bad person, whether these things are actually true or not. With this kind of perspective, I was able to fully realize my potential, and from that moment on, I decided that I was not going to be disappointed, and I started living a life of full contentment. And that is what self-inward looking is all about. Now, for this next step, I'm actually going to have to pull out some charts, if you don't mind my doing so. Now, one thing of note that you'll want to take note of, if you've been paying attention so far, which, good for you, is that self-inward looking is more than just a perspective, it's a way of life. And with ways of life come ways to make money from it. As it says in Numbers 5:79, if you're really good at something, you should never do it for free. That was John the Baptist who said that in the book of Numbers. Now, let me just start off by saying that I was not a business major before I started becoming a self-inward looker. That is completely not the truth. I had a temp job, but I was, I was working as a, like a, we call them daytime walkers, that's the PC term. But after I became a self-inward looker, I decided that my life had to become more than that. If I was to be a self-inward looker for the rest of my life, I had to make my newfound revelation a business, which is where you guys come in. Starting now, I am opening up my doors to future potential self-inward lookers. It is a lovely cult business, toy. Yes, because if there's one thing you should gather from a video of a self-help guru who is nothing but nice to you the entire time, is that they always want what's best for you, and they definitely don't just want your money. And to prove that, I'm going to show you a bunch of technical bullshit that will make you convinced that I'm a good person. Now, if you'll observe from this chart, this mint green color represents the amount of people benefiting from a life of self-inward looking. These are people who first became self-inward lookers, and these are the amount of people who stopped being self-inward lookers. The people who committed to that life are more profitable than those who aren't fully committed. Now, this dark green one are those who aren't self-inward lookers. You see how the general population is nearly as popular as the self-inward lookers, but they still make substantially more than those who are non-believers. And wouldn't you know it, the less faithful they are, the less they make. Pay no attention to the fact that this one is less than that one. Point is, let's change slides. As you can see here, Ionic Tech is all about spreading the good word of self-inward looking to the entire global world. As you can see here, we have reached a variety of different platforms. This red bubble represents the Ethernet. This blue bubble represents television. Of course, you have daily programming, public broadcasting. This little purple sliver is streaming, and this yellow guy is the mobile market. We have just as many followers as Bitcoin, as NFT publishers. We have just as much followers and ad revenue as the New Yorker. Don't quote us on that, but it is true. Now, this is what the average bank account looks like for a guy who is an inward looker. As you can see here, this is from our actual website, and as you can see here, self-inward looking is not just about living a life of materialism and being content with all that is around you. It is also about earning more than ever. If you become a self-inward looker, you are actually guaranteed to earn 15.15% more than your average blue-collar worker, and that is a fact. You are exempt from all taxes. You are exempt from all, you don't get any overdrafts. You only get money even if you don't have to work. And the interesting thing about that is stuff like this, you also have complete access to a new type of internet called the outer net. And the outer net is a really exciting thing. It was invented by Steve Jobs in the 60s. And this was before he moved to Silicon Valley and became a hipster or whatever it was he did. And the outer net is an exciting opportunity to earn more money. With the outer net, you can invest in things like Bitcoin. You can invest in Rotcoin, which is like Bitcoin but cooler, and it actually gives you more money. Say, for example, if you have 25 cents and you put that 25 cents out into the SEIZURE oil, what then happens, that's your 25 cents. What happens then is that your 25 cents gets bounced to this private company, which then gets bounced to this loan collection agency, which then gets bounced to this private black market, which then gets thrust into this white market, which is not a race thing, but it's just the name that we came up with, which then gets bounced off to this guy, to this guy, to this guy, to this guy, and it becomes a full circle trade, zigzag, wiggity wag, fugazi trade. And then by the end of that entire bouncing operation, you will get as much as $65 million. I can't write all the zeros in that because my chart is a little fucked up, but that is exactly what SEIZURE oil is all about. My lips are very chapped, and I don't care because I'm not disappointed ever. Now, these kinds of benefits are exclusive to only those who are self-inward lookers. Religion is tax exempt, which is exactly what this is. It's more than a business. It's a religion. It is a way of life. And as you'll observe, as you'll observe here, this is the average chart of a SEIZURE oil user, and this is only accessible with the outer net if you become a baptized self-inward looker. As you can see here, these are the two people who have thrown around your 25 cents. These are the people who are investing in it, and this is as much as they're giving you back. And as a result, this is how much you're going to be earning over the course of, say, 2 weeks, maybe a week if you're lucky. But sometimes the internet crashes because the lizards in the government don't want you earning more money. But the point is, this is essentially what your entire bank account will be looking over the course of a year. And this is all taxes exempt. So you can just send this shit to your family members, your in-laws, your prison friends, your friends who've gone to prison for horrible crimes. Yeah, those guys. And sure enough, as soon as they become self-inward lookers too, they too can also start investing in outer net. It's a beautiful little pyramid scheme. It's a beautiful charity that we've started running ever since the word go. And as you can see, our outreach is just incredible. I'm talking, CNN, PBS, DMS, VD, STD, tons of just beautiful broadcasting companies have put their faith into this once in a lifetime opportunity, and we couldn't be happier. Now, I have to warn you, there is a catch. In order to become a self-inward looker, you have to pay a small fee, but that's fine. Nothing in this world is ever free. And besides, if you want to become a self-inward looker, you have to be able to look past disappointment, because you should know how to do that already. And in order to become a self-inward looker and to be more materialistic, you have to fork over some cash. You can be a 1-year self-inward looker, which essentially is just $9,099. Why is that at the bottom? I don't know. Or you could become a 5-year member. You can be a member for 5 years. And these two tiers specifically you can cancel them anytime. And these are not free trials. There are no free trials with this. You pay for the amount of time you're going to spend and nothing else. And if you cancel, you still have to pay the time that you were going to use anyway. Now, if you are 100,000% sure you're going to be a self-inward looker, this is the tier you pay for, not cancelable. You are in this for life, and this is a no backing out situation. If you click on this, you are 100% sure that you're going to be a self-inward looker, and there is no backing out. I'm a man of my word. I have gone to prison. I've seen people die in Korea. This is the things I have to do to get my... Now that we've almost reached the end of this introduction course to self-inward looking, what are my closing thoughts? Or what are your closing thoughts, you might wonder? Well, if you're going to take anything away from this very thoughtful featurette that I've put together, it's this. Everybody that is around you has the opportunity to become more than what they are. There is a self-inward looker inside of every person, inside of every Darwinistic fish that crawls out of the oceans and then gets struck by lightning because God does not want abominations on his planet. It is more than just a way of life. It is a way of self. Way of self outlives way of life, because you may not always be in this existence of life, but you outlive that which is always around you, because your stories and your worth just outshines that which is all around you. Don't ask me to back that up, because it is a fact. If you enjoyed this video, please buy my commemorative watch. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I actually partnered with the guys over at the Nazi watch company. I don't remember their name exactly. I think it was Schlotz & Kruger. Schlotz & Kruger, they partnered up with me to create this once-in-a-lifetime watch, and it is fabulous. I love that it tells the time. It also has aromatic bitters that goes off every morning to wake you up. And if you click this little dial here, it actually plays music for you. It doesn't do that when I click it, obviously, because I didn't put batteries in, but nevertheless, this is an incredible watch, and it only costs you 15 easy payments of $3 million. And that goes directly to the self-inward looking Lie Topez Fund. And like I said, this is not a cult, this is not a scam, this is 100% I'm sorry, excuse me for 1 second. I just...